So welcome everybody to the second Saturday's poetry reading. We do this every Saturday and we've been doing it virtually the second Saturday every month. And one of the things that came out of COVID, there have been some good things that have come out of COVID, a strange concept I know, is that our poets have behaved themselves into a new way of thinking, in that our poets have become now punctual. So we do start on time. Please, everyone, keep your microphone on mute. So please mute your microphone. We do believe that feedback is a gift. So as we go through the program, anything that you like, anything that you see that you like, let us know. If there's anything we could do better, let us know. I meet regularly with Kathy and with Barbara, and we'll be meeting with our new poet laureate as well to debrief on the feedback. We do start on time, so we are starting at roughly 11 o'clock. And we have a very special opening, and I'll let Barbara and Richard talk to you about that. So Barbara and Richard are kind of our co-hosts today. Our featured poet is Kate Kelly. So Northport, between Kate and Linda, Northport is very well represented here. If you want to read, please put your name in chat, and I will get every name, I promise. So put your name in chat, and be mindful when you put your name in, because I'll go through that chat list in the order that the names appear. And I will, if someone that can't figure out chat at the end between Kathy and Barbara, they'll monitor me, and Dr. Pronson, I will make sure that everyone who wants to get to read gets a chance to read. We will do the open read, then we'll bring Kate back for an encore, and then we'll have concluding remarks from Richard. This program, we're very fortunate to have the relationship with the poetry community here on Long Island. This is one of several outreach programs that we have at All Souls Church. All Souls Church is open every day, and I know it's open every day because one of my roles at the church, I wear many hats, is to open the doors. And not only we open every day for prayer and reflection, but we collect food every day. So the young woman up there on the left is from St. Gerard Mahia in Port Jeff Station. We bring all of our food there. They feed a couple of hundred families here on Long Island. There are people who need food on Long Island. They tend to be invisible, but they're there. Lower left-hand corner, in normal times, we host concerts in the church called Saturdays at 6. And I'm pleased to announce publicly for the first time, we're bringing back the concert starting on September 11th. And we're going to do a gospel concert with Tom Manuel and the group from the Jazz Cloth again. So we do concerts. We also, going along the bottom row there, we do Gregorian chant, music of Taizé, some of the ministry that Kathy Donnelly has brought to the church, come into the church. It's mystically lit with the beautiful sound of the chanting and so forth. You'll recognize those two handsome people there in the lower row there. That was a passing of the twig from Robert Savino to Barbara when she became poet laureate. So we're, again, very proud of our relationship with the poets. We also do something, we were always looking to meet people where they are. So we actually do an interdenominational rosary. We do that every week. People often think that the rosary is only something Roman Catholics do, and that is not true. The Native Americans do a rosary, the Muslims do a rosary, the Buddhists do a rosary. So we do a rosary that combines the Roman Catholic tradition, the Greek Orthodox tradition, and the Episcopal tradition. More depth, you want more depth of that, just call me at any time, and I'll be happy to explain to you how we did that. Upper right-hand corner, once a week, we also do an interfaith morning prayer service as well. And that's my wife, Susan, there standing next to Reverend Kate Cologne from the Presbyterian Church in Setauket. We also do Native American drumming once a month as well. So that's our drummer chiropractor, Rick Statler, who's got a Indian bloodline on both sides of his family from Colombia. Native American drumming is a mystical healing experience that goes back thousands of years. He assembles folks in a circle. He plays a series of different drums. We were talking about the effect of poetry on the brain. It's amazing the effect of drumming on the brain as well. People have a chance not only to listen to the sounds of the drums, but then afterwards what he does is he asks people to share our reflections. And then I'll just conclude, one of the other hats that I wear here is I am the chairperson of the annual 5K run, 2K walk, which is called the All Souls for All Souls. We do that once a year. Couldn't do it this past year, but we now got permission. We're going to bring that back this year. And Barbara Southard has traditionally led a group of poets that don't run, but there's a group called the Live Poets Society, and they all participate in the 2K walk. So on behalf of the folks at All Souls, we welcome you. We're great that you're here. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Barbara. And Barbara, you're going to have to turn on your mic.
It's on. It's on. Dan.
Go ahead, Barbara.
There. I love it when that screen shows all of you. So this is a very special morning for me because I have the pleasure of giving the poet laureate twig to Richard Bronson. This has been a tradition, and I think Kathy could probably tell you about it more. But it's a wonderful thing. So from now on, Richard will be hosting, and this is my twig. And now Richard, let's see if we can get, and there is Richard.
My twig.
So we have the official exchange. So Richard, there you go.
Okay. Well, thanks, Barbara. Through the magic of Zoom, for the Poet Laureate's twig, I look forward to the time we'll all be able to gather again, once in person again at All Souls. I'm so happy and honored to take part in the second Saturday readings. And thanks to Dan Kerr and Kathy Donnelly for hosting and organizing these readings. Now, I wasn't expecting to read, but then Kathy just asked if I'd read a poem. And so I just pulled one out. I'm actually putting together a book hoping to come out, a new collection in maybe late July. So I just pulled one of those poems, which I'll read now and then move on there. So this is called First Do No Harm. In the heady days of his education, he devoured fruit from the tree of knowledge, binged on ideas, gorged on words of biochemists, bacteriologists, pathologists, then regurgitated them, enthralled with science, a sense of infallibility. Everything seemed possible. Progress, his mantra. Yet time passed. New paradigms replacing old. Drugs he had prescribed did little good. Procedures no benefit, if not harm. In that sea of fallacies and fashions, false compass bearings could be made. He sailed a fragile bark, fearing shipwreck on the Isle of Error. Caution now his watchword. So in the past, Barbara has selected a poem to read each month from our local poets' work, but I'm going to do something a little different. The Long Island Poetry Collective recently started what we call a poetry flash, twice monthly at first and third Wednesdays in the afternoon. Poets from our workshops meet on Zoom and read a favorite poem each of us has selected in advance, then discuss why we chose the poem. So I plan to select poems from the flash each month and read them to you. And today I've selected Samurai Song by Robert Pinsky. One of the reasons was that he actually starts what we call the favorite poet program. Pinsky is the William Fairfield Warren Distinguished Professor and Director of Creative Writing at Boston University. And he was elected Poet Laureate of the United States in 1997. And his tenure was noted for his efforts to prove the power of poetry, not just as an intellectual pursuit in the ivory tower, but as a meaningful and integral part of American life. Well, we all know that. So the poem I chose is called Samurai Song. And if you're interested, you can Google him. There's a wonderful recording, a very quirky recording he made of this poem, Samurai Song. When I had no roof, I made audacity my roof. When I had no supper, my eyes dined. When I had no eyes, I listened. When I had no ears, I thought. When I had no thought, I waited. When I had no father, I made care my father. When I had no mother, I embraced order. When I had no friend, I made quiet my friend. When I had no enemy, I opposed my body. When I had no temple, I made my voice my temple. I have no priest. My tongue is my choir. When I have no means, fortune is my means. When I have nothing, death will be my fortune. Need is my tactic, detachment is my strategy. When I had no lover, I courted sleep. So it's my great pleasure this morning to introduce Kate Kelly. Kate has a lifetime of contributions and accomplishments in art and poetry, far too many to capture in a brief introduction. So Kate counts among her many passions, poetry, visual art, cooking, and gardening. She's published many chapbooks of her writings and full-length books of poetry, including Barking at Sunspots, and other poems, and On Maxwell Street. Kate is a featured poet on the CD Northport Celebrates, Jack, and has been a guest reader at a number of Kerouac festivals. She has served as the associate editor of the online poetry magazine Poetry Bay, which we all know, edited by George Wallace. I was a longtime member of the Bare Bones Theater Company in Northport, curated several exhibits at the Art League of Long Island and the Northport Arts Coalition. Her visual work has been exhibited widely in Manhattan, Long Island, and regional galleries. She currently shares her home in Northport with her husband of 44 years, James File, and their lovely canine companion, Leo. And with that, I welcome Kate to the virtual podium.
Okay, thank you. Am I up?
Yeah, you're on.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you so much. And congratulations on your new endeavor there as the Suffolk County Poet Laureate. That's very nice. And I want to say also special thanks to Kathleen Donnelly and to Dan Kerr and to All Souls Church for all their wonderful activities. Can I be heard?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I can't hear myself. Okay. This is for you, Linda. I wanted to start this with a quote from William Butler Yeats, one of my favorite poets. And this is a quote from him. Being Irish, he had an abiding sense of tragedy, which sustained him through temporary periods of joy. I thought that was interesting. Am I supposed to be hearing myself or not? I guess not. No.
We can all hear you, Kate, so you're fine.
Okay. Again, I mentioned earlier, I think I've only read one poem through Zoom, so this is a new experience. I haven't done any live poetry in a long time. And there is no real theme to any of the ones I'm going to read. I just picked out ones that I thought would work. Ursa Major. Season has come for the skin to climb down from the peak, crawl up from the cave, and wade through the chill water raging over rock and vein. Now to roll back the boulder, renew the thunder, warble the high sound of delight, and sing through thin branches in praise of awe. Kindled, she bathes in feather streams, inhales honey mist, sucks berry juice, and surrenders the ancestral ties. To drop away the itch of winter, dig at hardened earth, season to fly from the ash heap of sorrow, she reclaims the heat of high sun and wonder. Thank you. Okay. Wide world. Nothing that can happen is stranger to the odd way light catches dawn daily, or how the wind yields air, the simple tool to stir leaves and carry the scent of wood smoke to make of dust mountains. She finds her way into alleys. At midnight, she sounds chimes in the distance. She carries across rivers a train's whistle that signals an impending storm. The wind whispers in hollows of beauty, undisturbed for centuries. She dances in caves through veins of burnt umber and cradles in flight the low moan of winter. She secrets in her fold each damaged heart, bears witness to the child with pebbles, and in his pocket the itch to stone to earth, levity and splendor. Nothing that can happen now is stranger to the odd way light scents dawn, or the how and why wind becomes of air, a whole wide world to wander. Can't hear you. That's cool. Okay, this is kind of a fun poem, I think. This is called Blair's Legs. It was in 1969 I first noticed Blair's legs. It was in Mr. Carrick's philosophy of lit class. Blair sat at the desk in the row next to me. It must have been late spring because he was wearing shorts. It was the year the dress code went out the window. It was the year in a decade when tons of stuff went out the window, out the door, and through the roof. The Vietnam War was claiming a good part of our sanity. No wonder the rules relaxed when it came to wearing shorts to school in late spring when the humidity kicked in and most everyone was itching to go surfing at dawn and down beers at night at the log in the woods behind the Wantaw Hotel. All the guys were in awe of Mr. Carrick. All the girls were in love with Mr. Carrick. He had a genuine English accent and told us stories of getting drunk on champagne at Jones Beach on weekday nights. And since I worked after school in the local dry cleaners, I know for a fact he wore lime green pants when he went golfing. After school, he worked in a travel agency that afforded him sweet deals, weekends in Spain or France or Italy. It was the year we read The Sun Also Rises, and we discussed the title to death. The key word that piqued our curiosity was also. That was the spring I fell in love with Blair Mancuso's legs. Okay. Marionette. A woman somewhere is swaying to music, eyes closed, mouth just open, hair wild in the air, and she is utterly bored. Nightly she dreams, eavesdropping on doctors pronouncing impending death when vein and will collapse. And each dawn shatters her awake, incapable of sound, disgusted by the memory of tongue and betrayal. She imagines her suicide but cannot abide finally such serious lack of patience. There is no silence, not anywhere, not anymore, not even here where a genuine sadness and calm prevail. She pictures children flying kites and tanned bodies building castles and digging moats, planning tiny wars. She spies booted toes kicking cans down alleys. The circus beckons, but her child lies buried, best left in the belly of hollowing loss. On some days, she is so bored that she suddenly grasps the theatrics of total flatness, and she weeps sprawled in the sand. She awakens late one morning and picks at random a person to follow and call beautiful for an hour. She hops a bus, murmurs pleasantries, considers each landscape striking. Stunned by a billboard, she calls out her stop, disembarks, and heads in a direction that promises silence. And there she dances, absolutely naked, gown in a heap. Her skin glistens. She is very lovely. And none can see her, and none can hear her. And so she stretches and shouts. Somewhere castles have fallen. Somewhere the sea is insignificant, the apple wholly unbitten. Somewhere children grow smaller. Somewhere a crowd is courageous, and endangered species run rampant. And somewhere else entirely, a woman dances, mouth just open, eyes closed, hair wild in the air. Okay. Well, this is for my father, who he was and who he was not. Father was the headmaster in the storm, fearless, enraged, funneling and leveling. But of course not. He was just a boy with 3 sisters and a stern mother, and his father quiet and subdued. He was the voice admonishing and correcting the errors of my ways. I found him hidden in handwritten pages in the bottom drawer of the desk I rifled through for clues. He was not a man quick on his feet, yet he lumbered through the hours with dignity, and he had an uncanny way with wood and glue. I squint into history and catch him at play in the snow with friends his age, laughing on vacation from school. And his books are closed, and his mouth is open, and his tongue catches white flakes that melt down his throat. Droplets of innocence disappearing before the war, before his first child died, before he came to a terrible understanding that the storm is never ending. He was not at all as I imagined, yet he is all of everything I know. Thank you. Maybe I'm supposed to talk in between, but actually this poem was written a friend of mine. Excuse me?
Oh, you can add whatever commentary you want, Kate. That's fine. You're doing great.
Okay. This poem, a friend of mine, her son was getting married, and she invited a number of people over to her house to celebrate before they got married, her son and his fiance. And so she had dancers, musicians, and she asked me as a poet to write a poem for them. So this is called Love Poem 101. Composing a love poem is running blind backwards through briar patches, stung and stinging, tossing the pitch, reaching home. A love poem is a dance true and through, howling winds, breaking waves, a teeming sea of flux and flow, of pulse and beat. Love poem, shorn of verb and hue. Barren now, then hope and full, raging, roiling, rollicking, tempo and tango. Love, this poem for 2, this tomorrow song through galaxies of love. The poem for 2, running blind, true and through. Home is where you are, whatever you do. Thank you. No, this is for my husband, James Friel. This is Cascade. There is a cascade of letters written, unsent words lying in state, detailing what must be said before the suffering is done, the joy unfolded, the morning lost to leaden sky. There in a cascade of flowers, a torrent of tears, a bundle of thorns, and the splendor too of snow carpeting red leaves. I have inhaled the scent of a man who makes magic by simply opening his eyes. I have embraced a woman who stopped to listen to the heart stretch. There is a cascade, dear, of places we meant to travel, a spray of orchids in windows, of chests opened and healed and sealed, a cascade of love for the struggle of hands at work, a drawing of limbs entwined in sleep, a painting of oceans of eyelids. You have found me in the dark, and I am grateful for that. You have read each unholy thought hidden in my shadow self, traversed my east and west, and all the marvelous birds fluttering in the world are gathered at our table. There is a waterfall of words at play. There is the music. There is the magic of parallel lives lived in our understood heaven. We nest here in the light, exhaling darkness. You want to go on to some other people?
Go on. Another one or two. We have time if you want.
Okay. Okay, this is a very strange poem, okay? It's kind of like a prose poem. What we cannot command. 1. Max loves his wife. Everyone agrees, and she loves him right back. It's been 14 years like this. They make a handsome couple. They are engaging dinner guests on the A list, up on current events, and liberal-minded, but not too. Max wakes at 3 in the morning and reaches across the bed sheets and starts to tighten his fingers. And she wakes up just like that and yells as loud as she can with his hands at her throat. Max, what in the world are you trying to do? 2. Dennis drives a truck for a living, drinks his coffee black, no sugar, likes his beer cold, quit smoking 3 years ago with the patch. It's been like this day in and day out, truck stops and layovers and cheap hotels where the staff agree Dennis is not the consummate guest. At 3 in the morning, he rises from the bed. He rips the sheets into shreds and cuts the phone line and hollers at the top of his voice, "Get me a burger all the way, now." 3. Janet has not been sleeping. One can tell by the look in her eyes and the way she walks through the day. People say she has a screw loose. People say she takes drugs or hits the bottle. People say she's lonely since Jack left for the barmaid down at Larry's Spitball Tavern, where beer is served in bottles, the whiskey warm. At 2 in the morning, Janet spies intruders at the foot of her bed. At 2 in the morning, she grabs the bedside lamp, breaks the bulb, and goes for something she sees in the air. At 2:10, Janet wakes up with blood on her hands. Last. 4. It might have been something he ate. It might have been a memory from the war. It was the beginning of 9 years of hell. He threw punches at the walls. He threw punches at her. He threatened to kill the cat even though there was no cat. He chased it through the house, brandishing a knife. She moved into the guest bedroom and bolted the door from the inside and stared at the TV or the ceiling or at nothing at all. For 9 years, she brewed his coffee in the morning and flipped his eggs over easy the way he likes them. For 9 years, they ate in silence. Then, one night, she stopped breathing in the guest bedroom behind a door bolted from the inside. The following night, Jack slept like a baby. Okay. Pretty weird, right? Okay.
One more, or you want to?
Yeah, okay. No.
Time for one more, and then we'll bring you back for an encore as well.
Okay, all right. This is called The Painting in the Wood. What can Cezanne be thinking? This evening he returns to the village without his painting. What is he thinking when he abandons his oil in the wood, drying? When there is a wall waiting for his daring break in color, fields of burnt umber and rich ochre splintering. Now flora and fauna will look upon such grandeur in a light of countless stars and the harvest moon night falling. Does Paul lie tossing in a room and wonder at his folly to feel more real the true self's desire wanting?
That was great, Kate. You did great. I can't believe this is the first time you read in a Zoom. I mean, you were just looking at the feedback coming in on chat and the looks on people's faces. It just connected with people on so many different levels. Like the poem about the legs of the young man, just so, I think for all of us, brought us back to that period of Vietnam where the whole world changed around us. The beautiful vision of the marionette dancing, the tribute to your father. Every wedding, just about every wedding I've ever gone to, they've got that reading from Corinthians about the meaning of love. And I think your poem there, Love Poem 101, might be an alternative.
Thank you very much.
Great job all around. And I remember the movie Scent of a Woman. Now I'm going to remember the scent of a man in your tribute to your husband. So, just wonderful. Okay. All right. So we'll bring Kate back for an encore. And what we're going to do now is we're going to switch to the open read part of the program. So I'm going to share my screen for a second. Hopefully I share the right screen. Okay. So here are the ground rules that we have for the open read. So I've got all the names in chat, and rest assured, if your name is in there, I got it. And rest assured, if I missed it, that between Kathy and Barbara and Richard, we'll get it. And then at the end, when we've gone around, I'll put up all the heads and I'll say, does anyone else want to read? And if you didn't put your name down or we forgot you, just wave your hands. We'll make sure you get to read. Please, we got a number of readers here, so only one poem, and please no more than 5 minutes. We want to give everyone a chance to read. Please keep your microphone muted unless you're called upon. Please wait to read. And what I'll do is I'll announce the readers in threes, so you won't be surprised that you're up to read. And I've got my first error here. It will be the Poet Laureate, Dr. Richard Bronson, who will close the program. I do make mistakes. And our official time is, we're supposed to go 11 to 12, but we'll go a little bit longer, but we'll definitely end by 12:30. My guess is we're probably going to end about 12:10. So, okay. So with that, let me stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to go around, and I'm going to call people in threes. So John DiCarlo, you were the first one. So John, if you could, it'd be John DiCarlo, followed by Barbara, our former Poet Laureate, and then followed by James Horn. So when I call your name, you've got to click on your mic. And John, we're over to you.
Well, thank you. Kate, thanks very much. So rich and engaging and captivating. Thank you much. So I was recently asked to write a poem and recite it for a college graduation. So I'll read this to you. It's called That Is When You Are Blessed. We breathed in a thick fog that would not lift, bore witness to a castle under fiery siege, felt insidious worms burrowing within. But even as the spear grew too hot to grasp, the heat of courage propelled the grip and purpose launched it into the stars. That is when you mix the best. That is when you are blessed. That is their time. There is no time to rest. And with that, that day has arrived, one shot in the arm after another. So pause, rest. Watch a family of geese crossing the street, wait till they have completed their journey, and track red-breast robins at twilight, plucking 3-inch worms from the soil of the grass, lifting them vertically like cranes. But take notice of airplanes from Argentina, Germany, and Uzbekistan, trying to fill the crevices of need in India. And imagine living in space with SpaceX. Yes, even when the spear is too hot to grasp, the heat of courage propels the grip, and purpose launches it into the stars. That is when you mix the best. That is when you are blessed. That is the time there is no time to rest. So savor your university accomplishments, and as you grasp your hard-earned diploma, reach out to young Afghan girls who are dying to do the same. Yes, even when the spear is too hot to grasp, the heat of courage propels the grip, and purpose launches it into the stars. That is when you mix the best. That is when you are blessed. That is the time there is no time to rest. Thank you.
Great, John. As a college professor, I've heard many good commencement speeches. That's got to be one of the best.
Thank you.
Really just summarize the age, kind of like Kate did with the guys, the legs that she described about Vietnam. You so perfectly captured it.
I should have thrown some legs in there, I guess.
So,
Thank you.
okay. Okay, over to former poet laureate. I should say poet laureate emeritus. That sounds more special. Barbara.
I like that.
Kate, I just loved your poetry. From the first time I heard your poetry so many years ago, it just entrances me. Wonderful poetry. I'm going to read a poem about a memory from childhood. I like to read it. It always makes me feel good. One long ago August morning, I eased my flat-bottomed boat towards the umber-stained dock, slid oaken oars inside, slipped over the seat to the pointed bow, searched deep into fern green algae below, swaying with the morning tide. Hidden among clusters of bone white barnacles, scattered like seed pearls against the night, I caught a flash of brilliant blue, a Jimmy crab ready for flight. Prepared for his sideways scuffle with a practiced twist of my net, I cut off all chance for escape, raised him high over my head, his extended claws reaching full breath. On the row back home to the boiling pot, his carapace glistened under the late summer sun as he skittered towards shadows beneath the back seat, his stalked eyes seeing everything at once.
Beautiful, Barbara. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's go now to the great state of North Carolina. James Horn.
Well, let's give this thing a try. I hope I'm not speaking too loud.
You're fine.
Next week is supposed to be Father's Day, so here's my Father's Day poem for starters. Love fathers in the land. What we want is them to stand. Give hand, God did command. While seething in soft sand, my mind started to expand. Your poem, do you understand? Sin here has been banned, which is what we always planned. Love tuna that is canned. God with us would plead, should give me all of your greed, then start a stampede. Seemed to become so strange. We talked about climate change, did mentally derange. Never gave a hoot. They have been given the boot. People who pollute. Down throat they would cram what would be another sham. When they did dram by dram. There was a traitor who caused another crater, great prevaricator. If he were to fail, him to the cross would nail, and sunset set sail. Over.
Thank you, James. Wonderful tribute to fathers and commentary on an age. Okay, we're staying in the great state of North Carolina. We're going to go over to Mike Daly.
Good morning, everyone. Poetry, inspiration comes in all different sorts of ways and everything. I get mine a lot from words I hear, sometimes in the wrong place. Like 2 weeks ago, I was in the back pew of church and the sermon was going on, all about God's love and the fact that he loves us no matter what. And I started a fight between the words that were forming in my head and my desire to listen to the preacher. Well, I think the words in my head kind of won out, because by the time the service was over, I had 3 or 4 stanzas of this poem. So I'm going to share it with you. It's called The Way. There is no greater love on earth, no love that's so complete as the love we get from him, a love he says we'll keep. No matter what we ever do on each and every day, the love will be eternal by the one known as the way. He knows that we're not perfect. He knows what's in our heart. He knows, yet he forgives us. With us, he'll never part. No matter what we ever do, no matter how we stray, all sins will be forgiven by the one known as the way. But we must learn to love him and love our fellow man and try to walk beside him and do the best we can. And as each day is ended and we kneel down to pray, we'll know that we are loved then by the one known as the way. So let this be your guidance. Let this be how we live. Let others know of him through you, just by the love you give. Let him then be your motive for what you do each day, and you will be rewarded by the one known as the way, the truth, and the light. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. You know, another poet, laureate emeritus, Gladys Henderson, always said that poetry is a form of prayer. So
Yeah.
you've just reinforced that. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, calling in threes. We're going to now have Bruce Johnson, Rabbi Fisher, and then Linda Dickman. So Bruce, over to you. You got to turn your mic on.
Hi, everyone. Kate, that was a beautiful reading. Thank you. This poem is called The Luxury of Telling. I never told you what it meant. The two of us close. The luxury of telling you anything. Your hands replying. Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful, Bruce. Short, but beautiful. Okay, over to Adam Fisher.
Okay. First of all, Kate, thank you very much. And also, I thank you not only for your reading, but also for that wonderful quote from Yeats. I really love that. I know some Irish people, and I'm going to have to repeat that to them. Anyway, we've all been to boring worship services, and I would like to provide an imaginary alternative that you might want to consider. There's a couple of translations to help you along. First of all, it's about the Sabbath, and Shabbat is the Hebrew for Sabbath, and Shabbos is a variation of that. So that's all you need to know. At Shabbat morning services, the rabbi announced, "It's a beautiful day. Let's go outside to pray." The congregation was puzzled, but followed the rabbi's long curly hair cascading down her back. She walked to the lawn, kicked off her shoes, held her arm up her arms, palms up, and twirled and twirled. A few more adventurous followed her. Children did cartwheels, somersaults, and flips. The cantor sang a nigun, a wordless melody. Older folks swayed, some twirled, others stood, arms folded. What kind of service is this? The rabbi stopped. This is Shabbat. The world is God's garden. Be happy. Feel God's presence in your body, in your joy. A few took hands and danced in a circle. Others took turns calling, Good Shabbos grass, good Shabbos trees, good Shabbos birds, good Shabbos bugs. When everyone was worn out, the rabbi said, let's just stand together in silence. Feel God's presence in the sun, in the breeze, in the hands of the people you hold. This is what prayer is about.
Beautiful, beautiful, Rabbi. And we so much look forward to your visit to our morning prayer service on June 29th.
We're all going to be going outside to twirl outdoors.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Okay, over to J.R. Turek, and then Kathy, and then Emily.
So not me?
I'm sorry, Linda, did I skip you?
You
My
did.
mistake. It's my second public mistake. Linda, my apologies.
Whoa, I'm not counting. Kate, I just wanted to say two things. One of the nicest gifts you've ever given me was to attend a reading at Portofino, period. That you came was a gift. The second thing I wanted to say is that your poetry today was like light sparkling on the water at sunset. Just so beautiful. Thank you so much. And then my poem. My poem is called Wayfinding. For all those who can sleep in the hull and know what star bearing they held. And it's dedicated to Mao, a Hawaiian wayfinder. Searching the heavens for direction, as the stars fade, they're houses that come and go into the ocean and out. The birds scoop light in the curl of their wings. Their patterns guide as they leave the sea, embrace the currents of your breath. The waves whirl, light laces in the foam, showing the sun's angle. Where can I go where you are not? Majesty and glory are everywhere. The stars in the sky, the birds of the air, the ways of the water. I am clothed in your name. I need only to breathe to know my path and incline my ear. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. That was wonderful. And again, my apologies.
Okay.
Sake of me. Okay, so J.R. Turek, and then Kathy, and then Emily. So J.R., over to you.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Thank you, Kate. Wonderful. Literally moving portraits. And I want to say I am the very, very proud owner of a Kate Kelly called Leo Admiring Plant, and my heart to Kathy Donnelly for the gift. Thank you. So today's poem is brand new. Some of it is handwritten, but I'm sure I'll get through it. Strange Fruit, after a photo of Billie Holiday by Robert Willoughby. Tough life. Yeah, it's been hard. Sometimes I felt so desperate I couldn't see tomorrow. My parents were children, bringing me into this heartbreaking life. Eleanor, they called me, but she died a long time ago. Strange, yes. I'm 106, a ghost, a spirit that succumbed too soon, gone at 44, and yet the chapters crammed sideways into those 44 years defined what I became. Abused at 9, taken from my mother, dad long gone. I was passed around, a scattered childhood moving, always moving. Strange, stranger. I see you looking at me, Billy, Eleanor long dead by then, 1951, I'm 36, years from leaving, years after spending a year in jail. And here I was caught, unaware, snapped in black and white mid-croon, no shadow to hide my vulnerable side, no time to pose, to check my makeup, no chance to wonder if the fake diamond drops in my ears glistened just right. If my collar of ersatz carrots is centered. I love this photograph, not for the tiny pinprick of hope in my left eye, not for the eyebrow arched in despair, the roots of heartache barely concealed between teeth, lips pursed for the next stone thrown at me, black and white, so strange, and yet. Prison, Yes, a year of incarcerated contemplation, a sentence for drug abuse, a penalty perhaps for climbing a white ladder of fame, of singing with saints, playing to my dark, slow tempo, my lucky days with pristine Benny Goodman and Count Basie and Artie Shaw, but ebony and ivory, I was segregating, a table in a dark corner off stage, left in the dark when the spotlight clicked off, white, black, strangers. Can't have a cabaret license with a record. Pick up your tempo, I'm told. You're dragging your beat. But if I'm gonna sing like someone else, then I don't need to sing at all. Good days before prison, solo performances after. Life before Billy, hardships buried with the name Eleanor. Digging heels in, climbing up from the abyss, learning there's lots of gray scale between black and white. Life after prison, after spotlight, cloudy with a chance of alcohol and drugs. Where to go from a standing ovation at Carnegie Hall, but to heaven. No way to wait for the world to be what I need. Strange fruit indeed. I wonder what color you'd photograph me in now.
Wonderful,
Thank you.
Kate. Just wonderful. And fresh too.
Really?
When I was reading your bio recently, and I think somewhere in there they said you wrote a poem each day. So
17 and a half years.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay. Speaking of poets, well written, Kathy Donnelly.
Hello, everybody. I'd like to do something for the first moment. Just have everyone go off mute if they can and applaud Richard, because I have to say, from one superb and fabulous poet laureate to the next, intelligent, soft-spoken, poems that are so touching, intimate. I just want to applaud Richard. So if everyone would like to join me for 5 seconds and just applaud Richard's new poet laureateship.
Bravo, bravo.
Congratulations.
Bravo.
So I think we're just so fortunate here on Long Island to have such richness. I wrote a poem speaking to Kate's expression in one of her poems called "Exhaling Darkness." She read. Kate, you know, I look for lines in other people's poems to inspire me, and there were a million in your poetry, but this was one that I grabbed. And it speaks to what Linda said too in the beginning about joy. It's called Hidden in the Spiritual World. Waking in the AM, a workday, I pass a Catholic icon, schlep from bedroom to bath, scrub up, shower, brush, wipe the night's layers away, coordinate, dress, final touches, descend to the main level for supplies. Breakfast travels with me, consumed on the commute. I exit the car, look nowhere but where my next foot steps. It's then I find a stone in my pocket, reminding me to be grateful. And so I say thanks for a bed to fall out of, hot water to cleanse yesterday's debris, clothes to adorn, keep warm, a job to head out to, a car to get me from here to there. Good to be reminded the cup is half full.
Thank you, Kathy. Well done. Okay, over to Emily.
Thank you. And thank you so much, Kate. Your poetry is so vivid, and you use beautiful language to convey some very painful ideas, and it's a wonderful talent that you have. I'm going to read On the Cusp. Sunscreen's perfume takes me back to my copper-tone youth, Primal Beach or crazy quilt, teen towels touching. Sunlight turned oiled skin bronze and lemon-streaked hair blonde. Rows of nearly naked bodies turned in unison to bake the other side. Tinny transistor radios tuned to rock and roll DJs, voices familiar as family. Concession stand hot dogs, Italian ices, and Tab fueled idle chatter, high-stepping races across scorching sand and stones to charge into the frigid Long Island Sound. Days salted with laughter, insecurity swept to the edges like seaweed clinging to exposed swim ropes at low tide. Childhood dove under the waves, peered into murky waters, and came up sputtering. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. That was wonderful, bringing us all back to summers from years ago. I'm thinking of that little girl, always the dog pulling down the bottom of the bathing suit, the Coppertone hits. Okay. I'd like to read a poem, and before I read the poem, I want to, the role of our founding fathers and who they were and what limitations they had has very much become a topic of discussion these days. And the founding father, who I think one of the most profound things any of them ever said, was a letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote to a friend. He said, "I would never let a difference in politics, religion, or philosophy come between friends." Never let a difference in politics, religion, or philosophy come between friends. So I had that in mind when I wrote this poem, and it's called "A Jackass Riding a Donkey." When it came time for him to complete his earthly mission, Jesus Christ sent out one of his disciples to fetch a young colt, and the Savior rode a donkey triumphantly into Jerusalem. When it came time to save America from the evil orange man, the Democratic Party anointed Joe Biden, and a jackass rode a donkey triumphantly into Washington. As Christ rode into Jerusalem, the crowd cheered, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, Hosanna in the highest." As Biden rode into Washington, the crowd cheered, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the party, Wokedom in the highest." Open the borders, cancel all who disagree, Wokedom in the highest. Kill the oil industry, teach our children to hate America, Wokedom in the highest. Nationalize elections, end the filibuster, Wokedom in the highest. Demonize the police, pack the Supreme Court, Wokedom in the highest. Somewhere in heaven, George Washington and Abraham Lincoln are crying as their names are removed from schools in California. Somewhere in hell, Chairman Mao is smiling. The Chinese Cultural Revolution has come to America. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the party, Wokedom in the highest. Thank you. Okay. Let's see if we have any more readers. I'm going to change the view here. So if there's anyone who wanted to read, oh yes, Sandy, there you are, Sandy, you got to come off mute. Sandy, on the bottom of your computer screen, there you are, you're on.
Okay, thank you, and I hope you won't hear it. I have no control. The men are mowing the lawns outside. Okay, it's very exciting to be here this morning and hear so much to think about. Thank you all. Just lately I've been kind of snared by the Shadorma poetic form. Sunshine rains and I smile renewed. Those gray clouds blur my zeal, make me feel disenfranchised. Now I own my day.
Thank you, Sandy. That was great. Okay. All right, let's check out the gallery here. Anyone else? Andrea, I see you're there, Andrea. If you want to read, just clap your hands and come off mute. If that's okay, so fine just to listen. And Kathy and Barbara, I don't think we've missed anyone, Richard. So
Elsa wants to read.
Okay, thank you, Elsa. There you go. Thank you, Adam. Elsa, you got to turn on your mic. Hover it along the bottom of your screen. It should come up, a little microphone, you got to click it. Usually on the bottom, Elsa. Okay, still don't have it. You know what we'll do, Elsa? We'll keep looking for it. And I'm gonna switch over to, we'll bring back Kate Kelly. And if you can then turn on your mic, if mic comes on later, we'll listen to you as well. Okay? Okay, Kate, over to you for an encore, and we may come back to Elsa when she figures out her mic. Kate?
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And thank you for everybody for sharing your work. It's just, I don't know, it's just something very special about this. Do you want, I'm going to read two poems, right? Because one is, they're short.
Sure.
All right. This is called Pearl. This is for Daniel Pearl, who was an American journalist who was beheaded in 2002 by terrorists. And I wrote this back then. Pearl for Daniel. It's anybody's guess, he said, which truth to tell, which one to let go of, which lie to follow, which pair of eyes to swallow whole without blinking. The tough part is not flinching when they grab you by the hair, yank your neck taut. And when you know in an instant the run will be over, the truth you tell, the truth you follow, the lie you will not swallow is, in the blink of an eye, your soul's only ally. And I'll just end with this. You've heard this, Dan, when we did the rehearsal. Anyway, letter to a young artist. To win the confidence of the poor, you must say what you see, touch what you love, and know what you will lose. The image of your dream and the object of your memory are each one half of your destiny. Your infinite loneliness will gestate into a great solitude to work in. Give birth to your art and send it out to the world, a messenger of love and its greatest commandments. To live without fear of death, to dream without fear of waking, to hold dear the innocence of the sexes, to practice charity, to force the omen of crisis to its knees, to beg a flower live forever unmolested, to trace lovingly the outline of hate and wrench from the heart of living things purity, to embrace the seamy side of life and encourage the union of every lovely imagination, to save the planet for our children's children, to engage the mind, the heart, and the hand in debate, to summon forth from every confusion one clear moment. To win the confidence of the poor, you must say what you see, touch what you love, and know what you will lose. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. That was beautiful. And Elsa has got her mic on now. So Elsa, over to you. Elsa, your mic is on. Elsa, you can read your poem now. Okay, she looks like she's still got an issue with her sound.
Yeah.
Might have to turn up the volume.
Yeah. Okay, Elsa, you just turned it off. Try it now, Elsa. Now you're off. Okay. So Elsa, what we can do here is, I don't think if I'm going to get this figured out today, but you can send me a note and I'll practice with you for the next time. So we'll practice turning on and off the mic. We'll try to troubleshoot what the issue is. Okay, good. Okay, anyone else?
Dan, I would just like to remind everyone that I did travel down into the wonderful village of Northport. That is just a great place to spend a few hours. I had a great meal with Jim and Mark Donnelly and a friend. And I want to just say, seeing Kate's art display was a really wonderful experience. You know, each one of her creations is such pure imagination. They're spellbinding, and I was happy to see it. I encourage everyone to, you know, spend an afternoon in the wonderful village of Northport and to stop at, is it Daniel Gale, Kate? That's your place where she's just got 2 walls lined up with her creations, her computerized art forms. It's extraordinary, really. That's it.
Thanks, Kathy. Okay, Poet Laureate Richard, over to you.
Okay, well, just what a wonderful morning of sharing through poetry. what a special community we have, in this world. We just have to value it so much. And thanks to everyone, of course, special thanks to Kate Kelly for the poems. Next month it's to be J.R. Turek. Everyone knows Judy. I don't think we need to have any formal, bullet points and everything. She's a powerhouse on Long Island. I'm sure we're all looking forward to that. And I just look forward to seeing everyone in a month and listening to J.R. Giving her reading. Thanks again. And I think we need to just appreciate so much what we have in the sharing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Richard. And I think we had Linda Dickman. I think you had an announcement you wanted to make. I don't know if it's the same one Kathy was going to share.
No, it's not. I don't think it is anyway. I am pleased beyond measure to announce that Portofino is reopened, and they were looking to find out when the poetry is coming back. It is a completely different atmosphere. It's all white inside, it's subway tile, there's a lot more space, and there's a new old piano. I am going to, for the very first time since I've been curating being the Northport Arts Coalition liaison, I am going to be featuring on the last Friday in June. And I probably will be asking some of you in this company if you will be willing to feature in the future. I assure you, it is a completely new atmosphere in so many ways. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that. I will be putting it on Facebook and on the Northport Arts Coalition page, so you know that it's coming.
Linda, will it be every last Friday of the month at a regular time?
Yes, we're back. Where she's going to go to 7 because she's new and she wants to see what the traffic will bear, and the theater's going to start opening up. So we're going to start at 7. I don't know how late she's going to let us go yet, but I'm guessing she'll let us stay.
Okay, so as in our tradition now, I'm going to stop the recording. And what I'm going to do at this point is just leave the, if you want to chat with one another, the